Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing Hush, quite a mighty little thriller film currently on Netflix. I'm the editor-in-chief over at bloodygoodhorror.com. Joining me tonight, first up, back in the house, drinking a beer like he does. He lives in Chicago. His name is Joe.
Hush. Just hush.
Hush, hush. What was that song? 80s song?
Which song?
You know the one.
Hush. Hush.
Yeah.
I heard you calling my name now.
No,
Hush.
that's not it.
Hush.
Next up, former goth, current president of books at Bloody Good Horror. Her name is Cece, who's still muted.
We're still muted.
No! Hello, I'm here.
What was the goth music scene in the early 2000s when I assumed
I was still Perfect Circle, Manson, that kind of stuff. But I was
Hot
still
Topic.
listening to a little bit more of the screamo stuff too. As little as I'd like to admit, but
Using the word screamo dates you as younger than us, just so you know.
well, I am younger than you. Sorry.
Well, I know we don't like to talk about it though. I mean,
Oh, okay.
Wasn't Mark in a screamo band?
Yeah,
No,
I think so.
I think
I don't
that-
think
Mark and I,
I think that
Mark
he
and I
might.
are the same age, aren't we?
I don't know,
I
but I
we
think
are.
that he might scoff at that designation, Sharp.
Yeah, I don't.
All right.
I think he would be
Screamo.
offended by that.
Yeah. Well,
So
I
it
couldn't tell you what
goes.
they actually were, but you know. Last up tonight here in the show, he's wearing a polo because he went to fucking Duke. Because whatever. He lives in New York City. His name is Schnars.
Oh, hey guys.
John, some higher ups at Duke have come out against this North Carolina law here, so
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna
Hells
tentatively
yes.
say score 1 for Duke.
Yeah.
1.
You and Duke are on the same side of
Yeah.
a topic for the
Was
first
it-
time.
Some unidentified officials at Duke. I wouldn't say like
Did they
Duke
come
as a
out
thing.
as saying it's not strict enough? Is that what they?
What
You're
if we
hilarious,
what if
Joe.
we just added whites only to this bill? Would that really change it too much?
A little too lenient, fellas. Y'all gotta
Oh.
change that right now.
Hey, Schnars.
You guys.
Schnars.
How I missed you.
Baseball season started, John. You watching them Philadelphia Phillies?
You know what? I have been watching the Phillies, and I am pleased with what I see.
The Red
Are you?
Sox
Were
are
you pleased with
terrible.
last night and what's happening tonight, John?
Joe, we are 2 for 2. 2-2 against the Mets. Who are the-
You joined the team, John?
Oh,
What are you
I
doing
did.
here, buddy? You should be in the game.
You know what? I asked for the day off just so I could be on the show, and here we are. So,
Hey, coach, I watched a movie on Netflix. I can't play no game today.
Wow. All right. I'm feeling pretty good.
we're having fun.
We are not a sports podcast. We talk about horror movies. And we got some horror movies coming up here, John, in the schedule. You want to talk about what we're looking at here?
We actually don't have any horror movies coming up. No, so we were talking a little bit before the show. We are going to be running a little survey to figure out what our next film on the old agenda is here. We got a bunch of things we've been talking about covering. Some, or actually several, have been suggestions that have kind of floated through. There's a film called Baskin that's been getting a lot of buzz. There's something called The Hallow that just hit Netflix. We're going to look at Green Room if we can see it. I don't know if that's going to be in the survey, but essentially we're going to be going out to patrons, to our inner sanctum patrons with a couple of selections. We'll let them vote, and whatever they come back with is what we are going to watch.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, the next thing in the theaters, we've actually got 3 open weeks in a row here, so we got a lot of legwork to do to figure out what's going to be on the old show here.
Get your squats in.
Well, this pick this week is like exactly what I was looking for. I was confident there was something streaming that we were missing out on, so it's a good start at least.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if we've talked about it on the show, but we actually signed up as a collective for Shudder.
It's true.
Yeah, and I have not checked in the last couple of weeks. They send you an email every once in a while with like new stuff that's hit. It's been a lot of foreign stuff. They've added some sort of like classic films, so maybe we can dive in there, see if there's
They got some decent
selections.
stuff on there.
Shudder-
I watched Faces of Death for the first time in like 20 years.
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Oh God.
That would be a pretty fun like one or an open
Oh my
week.
God! Wow, that's got to be a staff pick. I'm not like willingly watching Faces of Death.
It's awesomely terrible. Like I don't know. It's so poorly done too.
Yeah.
I like want to love Shudder, but every time I use it on my phone, it crashes. And they have this feature where it's got like a TV thing, like, oh, just click on here and it'll just be something playing, and it never works. It's like they're just teasing me with it.
I saw, Eric, you posted on Twitter that you were having problems with HBO Now. I think you might need to just get your phone looked at.
So compared to Netflix,
User error.
when I'm using HBO Now, like on the Google Chrome, because I have 2 Chromcasts, John. But when I'm using it in HBO, it seems like it's really finicky and the controls aren't good, and the controls just disappear for some reason. Like Netflix's interface is way better.
So that is 100% true on Chromecast. I do not find HBO Now to be as good, but when I'm just using it on the iPad, it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm mostly going to Chromecast, John. I drank the Kool-Aid on the Chromecast. I got one in the bedroom. It's called Bedroom, so I know where it is.
So you don't get confused.
Yeah.
What room am I in? Oh, the Chromecast says bedroom. All right, we're good.
I discovered last week that I can pair my phone with my TV in the bedroom and just like mirror the screen.
See, that's what I need. You have an Android?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
It has taken certain websites that I frequent to the next level.
Oh God.
It's a whole new world.
Yeah, a tear. Just like one
Giant
single
porn up on my screen.
Oh boy. So yeah,
I'm just
movies. We
getting
don't have many of them coming up.
mental images. What's next in theaters, John?
We had a movie called The Darkness. We've been calling this Native American Conjuring, I believe, or something along
No,
those lines.
you've been calling it that. We've all been cringing.
Is that- okay. But that is what it looks like.
Okay.
So,
Great.
Oh Lord.
yeah. That's the 13th of May.
I can already see that being one of the most awkward shows you've ever done.
Cece, what's going on with the people who read at Bloody Good Horror?
Well,
What's that whole reading thing about?
yeah, it takes a lot of effort sometimes. We just finished Revival by Stephen King, which was one that took a little bit of effort, but we took a break in April, and we will be back in May, and we are reading The Beautiful Thing That Awaits Us All by Laird Lard Barron, and it's a collection of short stories. So it's about 300 pages, but we read it over the span of 4 weeks, so it's relatively easy to keep up with, and it is on the Bloody Good Horror group page on Goodreads.
Lord Baron. Have you thought about like instituting some sort of program where, say, like you read 5 books and you get like a personal pan pizza
Like a
from Pizza
book-
Hut?
Yeah, like a
I
Bloody
wish
Good-
that would come back because that was my favorite.
You get like a sticker.
Bloody
it
Good
was so
book it.
good.
I
I think
it.
we got movie tickets from it, but like
Yeah,
we
they
got
did do
Pizza
that
Hut.
at some
Yeah,
point.
okay.
We got
So-
Pizza Hut. They were just trying to fatten us up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we got Pizza Hut too, but I think like the more you got a movie ticket.
They're
Wow.
they're gonna have to write book reports though, because how else are we gonna know if they wrote them?
Well, you had to go like to the computer lab and like answer questions about the book. To,
Yeah,
like,
I
prove
mean-
that you read
I
it.
mean-
Oh,
the
we
bo-
didn't have to do that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, we had to.
I just had to convince my mom to lie for me.
I mean the Bloody Good Horror one.
Oh,
Yeah,
how are we
okay.
gonna
Well,
know?
no, I wouldn't. I'd
Yeah.
be like, sure, you read it, whatever.
No, we had to do book reports. I seem to
Yeah.
recall. So I would just, I faked every book report I ever
Oh,
wrote
yeah.
in school, almost every research paper in college, and look at me
My
now,
parents
kids.
they were both working. They're like, little fat Joey gets a free pizza. Hell yeah, I'll lie.
Will you
anything
shut up
to
for
not
5
cook.
minutes?
Well,
Oh, Pizza
yeah.
Hut.
Well, lying.
Remember at Pizza Hut,
Learned
you
it from
used,
our parents.
you used to be able to get like garlic butter at Pizza Hut for the breadsticks. It was just like melted
You can't
You think
still get that?
Papa John's has that.
Yeah,
There's
Papa
some
John's still
I
has
feel
that.
like it's regional. Yeah, okay. Papa John's is like a hot circle of garbage, so it's not.
Well,
even-
I mean, in
disgusting.
Georgia, you can still get hot garlic butter with pretty much anything if you ask for it.
yeah.
I
With
was a big fan of the Little Caesars in the Kmart.
Oh God, so
Well, you
bad.
get
Nothing-
2 pizzas in one box. And
Oh, it's amazing.
Nothing-
Crazy bread.
nothing
Off
more
the
depressing.
chain.
There's most of the Little Caesars in Georgia are all drive-throughs, which is really bizarre.
Oh wow, that is weird.
Yeah. So, in case you're wondering, and driving through Georgia, you can get a drive-through pizza,
Pizza's good.
Love pizza.
not Little
good.
Caesars.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey Joe, you know what's good with pizza?
Soda pop.
Beer.
Oh, that
Beer.
too.
What are we drinking tonight while we review Hush?
Well, why did I close this? We're drinking a delicious beer. So Hush is the story of a deaf and mute girl who is being stalked by a killer. And there's sort of one specific scene that really stuck out to me and was the inspiration for the beer that I picked tonight. And we'll kind of get to it. I don't want to give anything away, but the name of this beer is Amber Smashed Face from the good folks at Three Floyds Brewing in Munster, Indiana. And this beer, it's a limited release. They put it out every year. It's actually a collaboration with the band Cannibal Corpse. You know, those of you who are fans will get the nod in the song title. You picking up on that, Eric?
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
So like a lot of Three Floyds beers, this one is super hoppy. A lot of amber, obviously. That's the sort of the pun in the name. And it's one of my favorites that they've come out with. They do a lot of sort of limited release beers with different bands, like specifically metal ones. You know, for the kids out there. This one comes in at about 8% or a little below 8% alcohol, so it's up there. Comes in the 22-ounce bombers. So you know, you drink one of these, you're starting to feel pretty good. As we've talked about Three Floyds on this show before, just awesome brewery. They put out some really good stuff. Really good food if you can make it to the brewery and you know, sort of check out. They put a lot of like sample beers on there that you can't get in bottles. So I wholeheartedly suggest everything that they put out. The number 3 Floyds.com is their website, and definitely check it out. And maybe check out some Cannibal Corpse while you're at it.
Nice.
Enjoy some songs and beer.
Thank you for that, Joe. Is Cannibal Corpse the one that I listened to on your Spotify and it made me cry?
No, that was cattle decapitation.
Oh,
Nice.
cattle decapitation. That's right.
The kids.
I thought
How
maybe it was.
dare you mix
I
that?
thought of you about a week ago when I went and saw Pig Destroyer live, and it was just one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
Do
on
they
stage.
literally destroy pigs on stage? Because I don't think I would be down with that.
It turns out they just hate cops. That's their whole thing.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
All right.
Weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Top
They,
You seem so enlightened, Eric.
I'll tell this story quick, but like these two guys, like I was wearing a Mets hat and it's in the middle of Chicago. These two like really clean cut, like they look like John, like made like a joke about my
Thanks,
Mets
John.
hat. And then we're kind of like talking to me, but no, like totally you would not expect this. Like we were talking and kind of bullshitting for a little bit. And then when the band started, just completely like lost it and like went up front and was like just punching people in the face and stuff. Like it was, you know, it takes all walks.
As you do when you're at the old Pig Destroyer extravaganza.
All that pent up Duke aggression, you got to get it out somewhere, I guess.
I almost died in a mosh pit once. I wasn't trying to get it. It was at, you remember the Big Day Out, Joe? That was like the rock station
sure.
in town. It was like a big outdoor festival they did every year. And it was like Stained and Disturbed were headlining, but it was like right before Stained was big. It was like before that album blew up. They were actually still like pretty metally.
Did some mud shoveling.
So I was like, you could get near the front of the stage because there were no tickets. So I was like right up on the stage and a couple of my friends around me. And you know how like sometimes those pits just like they just appear out of nowhere sometimes, like you're not ready for it. And they kind of have this inertia where you just start getting like sucked towards them. And it was happening and I couldn't stop it. It was happening so fast. And my friend, who's like 6'4", was with us, reached over like 7 people and grabbed me like a puppy by like the scruff of my neck and like yanked me out like right before I died.
I will say, I think in my time, I've only been in once and I will never go back again.
Yeah, what?
Seems like a lot
What's wrong with
of
people?
It's tough.
effort.
I did get punched square in the balls once at a Hate Week show. Like, just
Yeah.
flat on. Like,
It's just not worth the risk.
no.
A friend of mine came out to see Mark's band once, like years ago, and a shoe flew out of the pit and hit him in the head. We were at the bar. We weren't even near like where all the people were. Just the Converse just comes flying out of the crowd.
You need to have Kyle on as a special guest and ask him how many times he's had his nose broken in a mosh pit, and why his nose is still crooked.
Just not my thing.
It's no good.
Ooh,
No
yeah.
good. Don't mosh, kids. It's bad for you. They probably don't even do that anymore. Don't cyber mosh.
Remember what was his name? The guy from Smashing Pumpkins, Kurt Kilborn, whatever the hell his name is. The guy from Smashing Pumpkins, the lead singer.
Okay.
I remember, like in the late '90s, there was like a big MTV special about him taking a stand against moshing. And saying,
Oh,
"It's
I
done, it's
remember
over."
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's
What
sensitive, so I get it.
Oh,
I don't remember that at all.
Billy
and I wish,
Corgan,
yeah,
that's his
Billy.
name.
Billy Corgan, yeah.
All right,
Good
guys.
season.
I think that's enough. It's time. Let's do it. Let's talk about Hush.
How much we owe ya, goober?
Actually, it's G. Ober for Jerry Ober, but the new guy, Rommel, in the back, he drew in that other O and made Goober. Fucking asshole.
Great story, goober. How much we owe ya?
This is Courtney Gaines, Malachi from Children of the Corn, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
This is it, Senator. They're big breaking TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. Words.
Yeah.
Insta chatting this shit.
They were invented by somebody a long time ago.
Have you been studying history again?
Pretty into it. I know things. Words, tablets. They wrote them on stones and stuff. And then someone at Duke found them all and put them into a library, the great Library of Duke, as we all know it. And
Made up
then,
It was
Four-person
called
translator.
Perkins Library when I went there, but now I think
and
it's
then
called
one
something else.
day in, let's say, 2002, a young Jonathan Schnars wandered in and began his education in earnest.
You know, I worked at the library.
No.
Of course you did.
Yeah, sure did.
Nerd. I wish I had
Yeah.
a nerd sound effect.
I worked at the rare book room in the library. It
What?
was- yeah, it was
What?
a good time. Oh
I'm
yeah, Cece,
so mad and jealous right now.
we should talk. They had mad cool like old books and shit.
We just went to a punk rock like memorabilia in Atlanta punk rock memorabilia art show, and it was at Emory University, and because it was part of their archives, they like took us to their rare book room, and I thought I was gonna have to hide so that I never had to leave. So
Like, what
I'm really jealous.
One, John, what do they have in the rare book room? And two, like, what do you just stand around and like make sure nobody steals like the?
Well, no, like you can only get like no one can go in the stacks of the rare book room, like only the people that work there. So you have to like look up what you want, and then they would bring me it was paper at the time. Now it's probably like I don't know, fucking lasers or something.
Cyber books.
I would go get it and then bring it to them. But they have all kinds. They have. I mean, the big thing at Duke was they had like Robert E. Lee's personal correspondences.
Yeah.
Of course they did.
I mean, somebody's got to have them. They had like
Might as
a
well
lot
be
of
Duke.
old Civil War stuff.
I was gonna say they have a lot of like artifacts too, right? Because
Yeah.
Emory did. I was surprised how many artifacts versus like just books they had. So
They had a
it's
ton of old like music folios too. There was like a whole music section that was like these like 16th, 17th century fucking I don't know old stuff.
a lot of like Nazi stuff, I figure.
I actually don't. I think it would be more rebel stuff than
John's-
Nazi stuff.
John's job was to guard the first edition of Mein Kampf.
Pretty sure.
So I like it here. We're expanding the John Schnars mythos. I think this is good. Anyway, I bring
I
that
had
up.
to wear gloves. I had to wear white gloves to like touch the books because they
Swear
were
it
so
up.
cold.
where it all started.
Please tell
Do
me.
not let anyone touch the Dean's copy of Mein Kampf, Jonathan.
Please tell me you still have the white gloves.
No, they were like personal gloves.
Did they say like
I just
Duke on
got
them?
when I was there.
Are they like velvet? They say Duke on them.
I was gonna say that they
No.
weren't monogrammed.
No.
That's
I picture
sad.
John in like those fake Mickey Mouse gloves, like holding like giant books. Here you go.
This is great. I love this. I
Here's
love
your
this.
Civil War books with all the endings ripped out.
All right, John. All of that was a roundabout way of saying, please bring us the word of the day.
Today's word is cochlea. That is Cochlea. Cochlea are the spiral cavity of the inner ear containing the organ of the corti, which produces nerve impulses in response to sound vibrations. Comes from Greek, passes through Latin, where cochlea means snail shell or screw, and it sort of migrates into this current definition somewhere around the 16th, 17th century. Yeah, and if you've never seen them, they look like a snail shell, the cochlea does, so that's where the name comes from, obviously. And yeah, they're pretty important for hearing and things.
Which is relevant to this movie because this lady cannot hear.
She don't hear too good.
Sans hearing.
Cochleas are all fucked up.
She had the meningitis.
Yeah, that's
and
tough, man.
Yeah.
Meningitis.
So I looked it up. Meningitis is it's not like a common cure, it's not a common cure, a common cause of deafness, but it certainly can cause deafness. Essentially just like damages the nerves in your inner ear and then you go deaf. The not being able to talk part, less clear to me, but we'll go with it.
That's
I think that most of the time, if you go deaf, most people kind of stop talking because you can't hear yourself. So that's just kind of a.
But she would be able to make noise. I
Yeah,
mean, we don't need to
that's
get
true.
into the
Right,
science
but-
of it, but yeah. So,
all right.
but she's deaf.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me what Hush is about? Hush.
Hush is about a young writer, late 20s, early 30s. I don't know how young. Maddie. So Maddie lives by herself in the woods. It's just sort of like generic wooded place. But she's got a pretty sweet cabin. And in the beginning of the movie, she's had a pretty successful first book and she's working on her second book, and we see her kind of interacting with a couple different people, including her sister, who she calls over or FaceTime, and then a friend stops by from like a neighbor stops by to see her and just says hello. But yeah, so we kind of established some of the major plot points, which is that she can't hear, she also can't speak. She's moved out to the woods basically to kind of like focus on her writing and like be alone, and that's really the full setup to this movie. About 15 minutes in, maybe 20 minutes, she's making dinner. She's cooking a dinner that she's like found online, or maybe it's when she's cleaning up. I can't remember now. But the friend, I guess it is when she's cleaning up because she fucks up the dinner, and it's sort of happens in the beginning. But
What
the
sort
friend,
of gravy do you think that was? Like it looked like a sausage gravy or something.
it was no, I think it was a risotto.
Yeah, she was making a
Oh.
risotto, Joe.
Yeah. A
Risotto.
lovely risotto. It was definitely a little wet there. So
That's an elaborate meal for just yourself.
well, and that's like it was like risotto and like lamb chops or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, she fucks that up, and her friend comes by, and so then the friend leaves, goes back home, and as we see Maddie cleaning up, she's just kind of walking around the kitchen, and there's lots of windows. The house is like mainly open to the outside. We see the friend run up and start banging on the window, and then a dude walks up behind her with this sort of somewhat creepy mask, and just straight up gives her the stabby time.
Stab, stab, stab.
He says that too, which is the weird part. But
Stab.
yeah.
Stab.
But yeah, so he gives her the old murderation, and but Maddie doesn't hear or see any of this. We see it, and yeah, and so that at that point, we now have this guy who sees Maddie, and after he's just killed her friend, he sort of, sets his sights on her. And the rest of the film becomes really a sort of will they or won't they, but like a twisted, sick kind, where the guy is trying to stab her and she is trying to not be stabbed.
Is that what they call that, a duke? That seems like a weird analogy there.
I was like,
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
A little will they, won't
What's-
they? Ooh.
What do you mean? It's like an old,
Hey,
romantic
Joe.
rom-com setup here.
Hey, Joe, what did you think of this romantic comedy in Schnarz's eyes?
Apparently, I missed a lot of what John saw. I thought it was good enough. I didn't love it, but I did enjoy the fact that it's kind of like a break from a lot of the movies we've watched lately. Like I feel like, when we like some of them, but there's a lot of found footage, a lot of spooky ghosts slamming doors and stuff like that. Like I thought this was a little different. Throwbacks to sort of like The Strangers, which we had a review on the site, and I think they called it The Stranger Meets You're Next, which I think is a pretty good comparison. So if you like those movies, I think you'd probably like this. There's definitely a lot of tension, which I enjoyed, and I kind of they played a bit with the fact that she's a writer, and kind of showing like different options of what could happen, like going on her head. We'll probably talk about it. Like I think they could have done more with that, but all in all, I thought it was a pretty fun little flick.
Cece.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I actually was sent the trailer by a friend not too long ago. So when I saw the trailer, I really wasn't too excited or, really looking forward to it. And then after I think it was Luke's review, I checked it out and was very pleasantly surprised. I think that it was a really cool take on the whole like nihilistic, just torture for torture's sake, or, kind of this thriller, you being alone in the woods type film. So yeah, I mean, there are things like Joe said that I would have liked to have seen done a little differently, or maybe like explored a little further. And we talked about that like pre-show, but yeah, overall I enjoyed it.
John Schnars.
Yeah, we're gonna have a real vanilla show. I like this a fair bit too. I guess I would say I liked it. I liked watching it a lot. But after it was over, and like the more that we've kind of talked about it, I'm kind of like, it was pretty good. It was a nice, very competent film. I think it fits like this sort of niche we've been seeing too. And we didn't. I should say I didn't mention this at the top, but this is a Blumhouse thing. So it's within that sort of ever prominent or ever dominant, let's say, sort of genre monolith that's been kind of just all over the place. But this to me is really similar to Creep in their kind of like Blumhouse universe of like small movies, small in that there's like one or two people, but they're like really effectively done. And so you don't like, they probably made this, I mean, I could probably see if there's a budget listed, but let's say it cost $1 million. Like there's no way this doesn't make $1 million over the course of its life. Like owning this property to them, like this is a really smart investment in that regard. And so like, I like recognize that this is a good, interesting movie to have around. So I'm happy that it got made. And I would even recommend it to people. It's still not like, I wasn't like blown away at the end,
Yeah,
I guess.
sure.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't go back and watch this again, but
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair argument. It's not amazing, but I think that it's very intense. I found it to be pretty suspenseful. It's like I think it does. I think it does. Can you guys hear me?
are we
Yeah.
not recording?
Weird.
Just say it.
Sorry. I think it does a very good job of like this small little language of film things, as we kind of call them. Like when you're making these little thrillers, you basically have to take every little moment and wring all out of it that you can. And I think that it does that exceedingly well. I think that making her deaf was a really interesting choice, and they maybe could have even played with it a little more. But I think that it adds a layer of vulnerability, which is probably what they were going for. They kind of attempt to wrap some larger character themes into it as well. I like her a lot as a main character. I think she's like a kind of good strong female lead. You know, like not without her own kind of problems as a person, but like when push comes to shove, she really fights for her life. You know what I mean? And
No,
that's one of the more interesting things to watch. She doesn't just kind of like give up. It's a lot of like it's like a very violent game of chess where
Well, yeah, and she like ramps up to it. You know, like you
Yeah.
said, her being flawed. Like she's not this like, you know, character who automatically starts, you know, beating this guy who's attacking her. You know, she plays with that for a little bit. And I thought that was realistically done, but also not like over the top.
Yeah, it's like a game of chess a little bit. It's like he sets up this thing where he tells her, like, I can come in whenever I want, so I'm going to make you wait. And then so she just kind of is sitting in the house and coming up with these different strategies with varying degrees of success, and watching her kind of almost poke at the situation a little bit and try to see where she can get some leeway. I felt like a really interesting aspect of this.
Well, for a movie with two people in it, where at least for me, I assumed he really could get in whenever he wanted. I was surprised how much tension they got out of this.
Yeah.
Because it really, you're kind of like, all right, probably just gonna go kill her now, you know, like, and they do keep it. I should say they really quick. The director here is Mike Flanagan, and he actually co-wrote this with the main female star. Her name's Kate Siegel. She's listed as a co-writer.
They're married too.
Oh, there you go. All right, I didn't get to that piece, but so he directed Oculus, which I think you guys generally liked. I watched it on a plane.
I think that Oculus is awesome.
Yeah, so that one, he also did this movie Before I Wake, which we have an Ask BGH about, so we'll probably get to it at some point, but has yet to be released. It was part of the Relativity bankruptcy. So, but he is currently slated to direct Ouija 2.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, and Gerald's Game, which I thought was actually kind of interesting. Speaking of our friend Stephen King, as Cece mentioned earlier. So, kind of interesting, dude. I mean, it's not. Having seen Oculus, like, this movie makes a lot of sense. I think they're both very competently directed. Neither of them are like blowing my mind with their direction, but are also like very solid.
Very solid, yeah. For sure.
But you kind of hit the nail on the head, Eric, because I think the interesting thing about this movie is the way he kind of toys with her around the house, because he could very easily, like, she's deaf. They make it a point that, like, even when the woman comes and is like sort of banging on the door trying to get away from him, like, she can't hear anything. Like, she can't sort of know that someone's there, like, at the window. So he could easily break the window at any time and come in and just kill her. So, like, the tension is really set up by him saying, like, I'm not going to come in. I'm going to wait till the right time, and I'm just going to pretty much F with you for the next, like, 45 minutes. And, like, that really builds the tension, and the fact that you get to kind of see her kind of play in her head like what she should do or try and like solve this sort of puzzle of like how to get out or get away from him is like really the interesting part of this movie, and really what I thought sort of separated it from other movies like this where it's just run to a room, try and find a way to get out. Oh my God, they're coming into this room. Now I go to the other room. Now I try and get away. Like it made it more of like a mind game than anything, which I thought was really interesting.
And it's the way that they stretch out a fairly thin premise, right? Like that's kind of, that's their way of going, well, how do we make a movie with 4 people about a home invasion where the guy shows up like 7 minutes in, you know?
Yeah. But serious question, could he actually get into the house? It was very unclear to me.
I mean, he could have broken a window.
Yeah, all he had to do
thought.
was break a window.
He did try to break that one window at one point, and it just wouldn't shatter.
Well, I just assumed that was
know,
like the door windows. Like because I don't want to spoil anything, but at one point he does get into the house.
He does break a window at one point.
Yeah, that's true.
But speaking of, you know, him toying with her and vice versa, really, I thought that was the only kind of thing that I was not disappointed with, but I kind of hoped that they would explore further, because at the beginning of the movie starts out silent, and you know, as she's chopping the you know, like you see her cooking, so she's like chopping vegetables and stuff, and then it kind of flips back and forth of being completely silent, and then hearing these like small noises that we would take for granted, like the vegetables sizzling or her phone ringing or things like that. So I was kind of hoping that they would really show her using his hearing against him more so than they kind of did.
They do a little bit of it.
There's a few scenes where that happens, but she like turns on the car alarm at one point, and had the movie been like relatively silent throughout the whole film and that happened, like that would have been an amazing jump scare that would have kind of turned the trope on its head a little bit. But still, it was really awesomely done.
Well, I was curious like what you guys thought. I threw this in the chat or the sort of pre-show thread at one point, but to me that was one of the other things I that this movie loses a little esteem. I do feel like it was very heavily edited. So it's only about 80 minutes. True. It's about 81 minutes, something like that. And there's so many things. Like there's actually a lot of characterization built in early in the movie that does come back. But I do think there's probably a somewhat puffier version of this. Yeah. I don't know whether the director edited it himself down, or if someone kind of after the fact was like, "Yo, listen, you got to tighten this up if you want to get it out." But
it surprised me that her gentleman suitor never came into play again. Like she talks about him calling her on Skype, and then that never.
Oh yeah,
up.
That's true. That's interesting.
There's a couple things. Like even the sister, she has this whole conversation with the sister that. It does tee up some of the specific things, but it's really not necessary given the conversation with the friend. Like you really could have just left it with the neighbor. I don't otherwise know why you bring in the sister at that point. But
I mean, the other interesting thing is, and I assume this was intentional, but like, and I don't think I'm really spoiling anything, but like you never find out why this guy is sort of stalking her or like why he kills the neighbor or why he's doing any of this.
Oh, he's just a straight up crazy person.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more like the funny games kind of mentality.
It is, but the interesting thing to me too is like he's not particularly good at what he's doing. Like
that's true.
Like there's a point where the neighbor's boyfriend shows up and like he's covering his tracks like terribly. Like the boyfriend figures out pretty quickly that like something's going on there. Like he's not really great at being a murderer. Like
I actually thought he did. I thought that was really
the cop thing was kind of smart.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty realistic. That's what I kind of liked about it is that he got caught in the act and he actually does something that throws that guy off or puts him on his back foot and like ultimately Yeah,
well, yeah. I mean,
that scene is
hate
crazy.
to spoil it, but
that scene is crazy tense because like the guy eventually kind of figures out there's some shadiness, and then there's this great just like play with the kind of scene tension.
Oh yeah.
And he is about to like bash him over the head with a rock, and then some shit happens, and I literally went, oh, like they're this movie's super violent. And there's a bunch of scenes in this movie that literally made me just kind of throw my head back and be like, "Oh, mother!"
It's actually not that violent. It's just that when there are scenes,
it's super gory.
It goes
but
there.
Like the dialogue in that scene where he's just like, "It's over, just it's happening, just let it go." Like, super, just like gut punch. Like I thought it was great. I loved it.
The scene with I don't know how much I should give away, but the scene with the attacker and the neighbor lady after we all know she dies. So after she dies,
you mean like the very beginning?
Well, no, not the very beginning. Later on, when she's like hanging over the AC unit and he picks her up and is like smushing her against the window while Maddie's in the bathroom, was really deranged. But it was well done.
He's like bashing her hand against the window.
When he's like making her arm like tap on the window.
Why are you hitting yourself?
Yeah. Jesus.
As you do.
Yeah, I mean, there's some finger stuff in this movie, some finger bashing that I had trouble looking at. I had to kind of cover my face a little bit. I'm not gonna
I had to watch it like this way. I was like, I can't. No.
Pretty rough.
Yeah.
But it went there in a way I like wasn't expecting.
Yeah. And it kind of at that point, and this again, like if I'm playing devil's advocate and talking about sort of, why this isn't as good is like it basically goes through like screenwriting 101 at that point where he starts to like check the boxes of things that he teed up earlier in the movie. So the final kind of basically starting, I guess you would call it all of Act 3, which really kicks off with this moment. Earlier in the movie, they teased that her writing style, and they actually spent a lot of time teasing this. She writes like multiple endings to the book, and then she kind of like decides which one she likes best. And she explains that like because she's not good at sort of like ending things, and so she has to like work through all different endings. And there's a moment where that comes back, and it really kind of kicks off the last act of the film. To me, that's where it's like he literally just goes and starts checking the boxes of everything else that he's done. So to the point where it was like I kind of, you could have easily predicted what was going to happen for a lot of the sequence. It doesn't really make it that much. It's not like it makes it that much less enjoyable to see it happen, but it is like, all right, let's just get to the fire alarm or get, whatever it is. I don't know. That was the only other thing I kind of groaned a little groan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have gone. They could have come back to just the ending thing, the like like exactly what you're saying. Like they could have come back around to that a little bit. They do it once, like pretty hardcore towards the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I did like they play around a lot with her, the way that she's not decomposing, like she's falling apart, right? Like he's attacking her and getting his shots in to the point where she starts to really go into shock. She's going into shock. She's losing a ton of blood, and so they play with that in a really smart way too. I mean, better than you see it deployed in a lot of other movies, I think.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. There's definitely some interesting stuff there as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else to say about this movie, you guys. I don't know.
How do you guys feel about where we are with Blumhouse now?
They I feel like are consistently churning out solid stuff.
I would say I probably like this more than I've liked the other stuff that they put out. Like
Yeah,
I like this more than Creep for sure.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, I agree.
Creep was Creep was like top 5 for me last year, so I definitely think that was better.
It wasn't a giant.
It just has more personality.
I can't take that guy seriously.
And that's my problem. I'm like, if I could get past not caring about him, I think I would have enjoyed it.
That guy was creepy as hell in that movie.
I just he has the face of like a comedy sidekick in a romantic comedy, and I can't take him seriously as anything else.
I loved it.
See, I would go with Creep probably.
But I love that they're doing. I think what's cool about Blumhouse is like, and it's a money proposition, right? If you ever, I don't know how much. Blumhouse is that guy owns it or something, right? Mark
Jason Blum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
isn't Duplass involved with it though?
What was his? What are the other movies in Blumhouse? Like I can't.
Yeah, so I can run these down for you, and there's actually a ton of stuff coming still this year.
Isn't Duplass involved with it though?
Duplass.
They've definitely. I mean,
or
I
they
don't
just
think
have
he's,
done
like,
deals
an
with
owner,
Blumhouse.
He's definitely involved. They did the Paranormal Activity movies, so basically all of those. They did things like Dark Skies, The Purge is them, Insidious, Sinister, Creep, Ouija. They've got some real misses like Jezebel, which is one of the worst movies I maybe have ever seen. No, but so this year, this movie, The Darkness, that we were just kind of speaking about earlier, is them. They have a movie called Delirium that's coming out later this year, and Ouija 2 is also them.
Wait, they did Whiplash?
Yeah, it looks like it. I don't know if is that the same one that was the
production company. Yeah, it's the one that was nominated for an award.
Yeah, there you go.
Crazy.
No,
I don't know why I always picture them as like a mumblecore. Like,
well, Mr. Duplass. Yeah, they no, I think, and this we talked about this a little bit with Creep. They do this stuff where it's like, hey, we'll make Creep, but I think they did the Lazarus Effects too. I'm seeing if I can find that one.
That movie sucked.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and so it's sort of the same thing you're seeing here, right? Like they let this guy make Hush, which his wife and he co-write together, but it's like, yeah, but you're gonna write and direct Ouija 2 for us as well.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a trade-off, like you're saying.
And that's, I mean,
no
it's
idea
smart
they were
business.
involved in this many movies. This is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think that like they're an interesting story. Like the idea, and it's about money, right? The horror movies are a good return, so they've figured out rightly that you shoot them cheaply, and you get lesser known actors, and that you can make a ton of money. But when you get the right filmmaker, that recipe can also make a really good thriller like this movie, right? Because
Well, exactly.
So I think like the output itself is really good for horror. Like anybody being this prolific turning out horror movies is good for the genre. If not, but that doesn't mean that every one of them is going to be amazing, which it
No,
hasn't,
exactly. I
obviously.
mean, they're hitting on, call it like 60%. And that's like really solid when you look at the volume that they're turning out.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how like this movie Delirium is, right? Because who the hell knows what it's looking like. It's got Topher Grace in it though. It's got Patricia Clarkson. I mean, it's got like real people in it. So they're doing some interesting stuff. It was this movie's directed by the guy who did Last House on the Left, actually. The remake.
The Boy Next Door they did with Iana Parlohez. I am intrigued by this whole thing going on here.
Yeah, so it's good times.
All right,
Cool.
move on.
Is there a movie guide?
Oh God!
Oh, for Christ's sake, sir.
You gotta give me a little bit of a heads up, man. Mark's not even here.
No, I just search for it. I don't care.
No, there
can't
is
imagine
not.
Cool.
There is not.
Anything else that happens in this movie? I guess I did think it was interesting that they have a killer with a mask. The guy's got a mask on in all the publicity stills, and then he takes it off like 10 minutes in.
He wears the mask for like 5 minutes.
But it was a great mask. I kind of wish he had, even after the reveal, I kind of wish he had put it back on.
Yeah.
Because he looks kind of like just like average Joey after that.
Yeah, he doesn't look creepy. I think there's like a BGH ask about it, but
you know who
he doesn't look very creepy.
You know what he looks like? He looks like the kid in high school who like graduated early because he took extra metal tech or something. Like he's that kid.
There's a neck tat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
does
but
have
a
a neck
really
tat.
weird neck tat. Is it a scorpion or is it
I
like
couldn't
it's like a
really tell what it was.
panther?
He smokes cigarettes. He's always hanging out in the auto shop,
Yeah.
being truant.
Well, that's the kind of thing I was talking about, where like he's not particularly good at his job. Like he kind of comes off as a bit of a like a schlub. Like, he enjoys doing it, but he's not that great at it. Like he's not that calculating in everything he does. Like he just kind of bursts in there and like kills people.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he gets the job done, Joe.
He does. He absolutely does.
So
Nice. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Hush here.
Hush. We got through this whole thing without Joe singing any more, Hush-related songs.
Hush, the Joe Chinese biography.
I had one in my head today, and it was not the Deep Purple song, and now I cannot think of it. You know what I had stuck in my head was that Mariah Carey song, Crush, but with Hush.
Crush.
It's just a little hush.
That's Mariah
Yes.
Carey.
I did not know what you were talking about, but now I do.
I don't know if that's Mariah Carey.
Yeah, I don't think that's
I'm not
Mariah
convinced.
Carey.
You sure?
I trust Joe over you two.
I mean, I could be wrong, but
It is. No, you're right. It's Jennifer Page. I have no idea who that
hell
even
is
is.
that?
Exactly.
Let me down, Joe.
Exactly. All right, guys.
Whatever.
That's going to do it for Hush. Let's take a quick break so we can do some fan mail.
When tombstones topple and coffins creak open, and the deadly, delectable lady in lavender searches for fresh victims, that is the time to see Phantasm, a fiendish undertaking. Oh yes, and it does have a burial plot. Phantasm, if this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead. Phantasm from Avco Embassy Pictures, rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
Hi, this is Adrienne Barbeau, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
back. Back in the house.
That dog looks miserable, Susie.
No, you can't see. You can't see, but he has a Murphy. Stop. He has a James Bond villain eye now. He got kicked in the head by a horse.
Oh, what?
Hashtag
Yeah.
things that happen in Georgia.
Because that happens in Georgia.
Can he see out of it?
No.
Oh,
No. And it happened 2 weeks ago. But he's not learned his lesson. So
That dude actually
He's
just
still
looks
just
like
sniffing around horses constantly.
he
well,
actually
only,
just
I
looks
mean, my
like
mom has horses, so we don't. But when he goes down there, he thinks he's supposed to chase them.
it just looks
So
like
that's
a
why
dude.
he looks miserable, because he probably still doesn't feel good.
Dear God.
He just looks like a dog that enjoys life. I'm just gonna say it. He looks like he's just having fun.
Looks like what?
He just looks like he's having fun. Like
Oh
he's
yeah,
just
he's
chilling
cool.
out.
He's laid back. He just likes to hang out.
All right. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. First up, Caitlin. I wrote in the BGH Classic last week about Eric talking about having to go to an important baby drowning. And I was dying laughing when you guys were trying to figure out what movie he was referencing, when in actuality, he is talking about his own life and going to a baptism for someone's child. That one came straight from your mind.
What episode was that?
P.S. I will always refer to baptisms now as baby drownings. Thank you. I don't have it. She doesn't put it here. It's a poltergeist episode. I don't know the number.
Oh, yep.
This is from Aussie Andy. Hi guys. After hearing your review of Hardcore Henry, I'm very excited to see it, but sadly being in Australia, we don't always get to see all the movies showing, so I may have to wait till I can see it through other means. Being a big gamer, I like the initial look of the movie, feeling like a first-person shooter. I think it'll be an ideal date movie, as my girlfriend is also into big, dumb, fun movies. He also liked the Batman versus Superman in Purge Anarchy. And he closes out by saying, as for Roger's email, I can assure his wife that grown-ups do too get gremlin tattoos. I have one as part of my like slate featuring many 80s, 90s horror movie icons. Not sure if that's a good thing to tell her or not, question mark. Next up,
You get your didgeridoos.
Joe, you got some horror tattoos. We get to show them every once in a while. You want to?
Yeah, I have a Jason mask on the back of my leg, and I have a Haunted Mansion from Disney World tattoo on my arm.
Nice.
I have a werewolf, and I have an Iron Maiden, and I have the tree people from Lord of the Rings. I have a poltergeist Indian skull.
You have like,
dear Lord.
You have an Iron Maiden or the Iron Maiden?
Like in Iron Maiden, like that you put witches in,
like a
during the
torture
Inquisition.
device. That's pretty messed up.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird list of tattoos there, Cece.
It's weird. I know. Sorry, it's not Gremlins. I feel really left out.
Were these pre or post goth days that you got these tattoos?
I mean, I'm still technically living my goth days, so I mean, these have happened within the past like 5 years.
I don't know. You have a really classy collared shirt on right now, so
It's because I paint in it. This is actually Kyle's work shirt, but I paint in it.
there's a black shirt underneath.
I thought you were going to say that was your court shirt.
Oh no, I didn't wear this to court. No.
Still living the life then. I like it. Representing. Next up, Jason in Pasadena. Hey, Eric. In the Hardcore Henry episode, you started recommending a book about the making of Doom, but didn't mention the name. Please share. It is called Masters of Doom. It is about John Romero and the other guy's name escapes me, John something. And they're founding of id Software, the kind of coding and writing of the game. It's really fascinating stuff.
Huh. That sounds really good. I would enjoy that a great deal.
Joe, it's so good. It's great.
Yeah?
It's great for like, it's really good late 80s, early 90s computer nostalgia too, because like
that is awesome.
Like his first game he ever wrote was like a text adventure that you had to save it on giant punch cards. So he was writing it, he was like 16 or something. He would go to this college computer lab, code his game, then save it onto giant punch cards and put them in his backpack and ride his bike back home.
Wow.
It's crazy shit. It's really cool. It's called Masters of Doom. It's not, it's
That's
like
awesome.
not,
I'll have to check that out.
it's not long either. I read it, so literally anyone can read it.
Huh.
He says, I've heard of this other one. He says, have you read Console Wars? It's a great book about the Sega Nintendo rivalry of the 90s. I've not, but I've heard that's good.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Did anyone have a Sega Master System? I think I was the only person
in my
high school.
I honestly don't think I ever heard of it until the internet.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great. I actually liked it a lot more. Eventually, we got an NES.
Yeah.
But I actually thought Sega had better games. Like, they had really good stuff on there.
But Mario.
Yeah. Come
Well,
on.
they had their own version, Wonder Boy, which was pretty much the same thing.
Lame.
Yeah. Come on.
Excite Bike.
It took me a lot longer to finish Wonder Boy than it did Mario. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah.
Apparently, and I don't know if you guys saw this on the internet today. Someone emailed me a YouTube video. The guy a guy broke his own world record for speed run on Super Mario, the original.
I saw that. Yeah, it's like 4 minutes something or something.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
like 4 minutes 25 seconds or something.
Yeah, he shaved like frames off of it, and they think that it's basically as fast as a human could possibly speed run the game without like they call them tool assisted speed runs, where you can use like rewinding and slowing stuff down. So like a normal human, they don't think it can be done any faster.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He's a hero. He's a hero.
I love that stuff. I really like if you ever watch like Fallout speed runs, like Fallout New Vegas in 23 minutes or something, and they literally, the only way to do it is to break the game world. So they have all this crazy shit. Like if you are standing at a door and you quick save and quick load by hitting like hotkeys, you fall through the environment and you just end up in like gray space, and you have to like climb back into like other parts of the world.
Wow.
It's so fucking cool. They literally start from the beginning and they run like the Fallout 3 speed run. You ever play Fallout 3? So you start out as a little kid in the vault and you do all this like story kind of stuff. But then at some point you hit a point in the story where you then like it flashes forward and you're an adult, and then you get out of the vault. But they found a way to glitch that, get out of the vault as like a little kid, and then speed run the game. You never shoot a shot, you never pick up a weapon or anything. You just are running by everything. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I can imagine their wives are really impressed.
There's a whole universe of
Listen,
speedruns out there
Joe.
that like I'll get a buddy of mine who's like pretty into it will send me one every once in a while, and I'm just like, probably not gonna watch that. I like that it's out there. I'm not like I don't even think of them as nerds. I'm like, nah, it's kind of cool, but
It's crazy.
It's
It's crazy. No, I think of them as like possibly autistic, but pretty cool.
Nerds. I think nerds is a good word. I think you can go ahead and do that, Joe.
Joe, you're on a horror podcast.
It's true. So. No, even worse, I'm on a Real Housewives podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
there
info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. We're also on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. Schnars, I'm going to also request that, or Joe, whoever reads these, I'm going to request that we look at BGH Classics also.
Joe, you want to pull up BGH Classics while I'll start working through these? We actually have a ton of Twitter today, so we can just
big dog.
We should just get cranking. Does anyone know? Sorry, I'm just going to start with this one because I don't know if you guys read it on the last show or not. So our buddy RJNC, he asks, "You guys are doing the Huntsman ? When did you guys change the format?" ?
Actually, we're not doing the Huntsman. Listeners will recall that we reviewed the original film in theaters a couple of years ago, and I seem to remember we all were like, "Yeah, that was all right." Okay. And
I seem to remember
Eric,
somebody
you
listen.
saying,
Somebody
we're doing this. I don't care what you guys say. We're doing this.
So I thought it would be worth it to take a look at the sequel. I don't know. Jessica Chastain's in it. She's a real actress. Got that handsome Hemsworth kid.
It's all like legit.
Yeah.
Well, I
actors.
mean, I was gonna say Emily Blunt's
And
a really
then-
good actress, and so
And
is
I thought it
Charlize
was
Theron.
just a like done deal, and then over email, everybody fucking mutinied a couple days ago, like freaking out about having to go to the theater to see this movie. And finally, I just said, "All right, guys, it's fine. We won't do it."
It's pretty great.
It was good.
Joe
enjoyed
was
it.
legit mad. Like I've never really seen Joe mad like that, and everybody was like, "No, Joe is fine." No, go back and read that email. Joe was fucking pissed
I thought
off.
we were shutting down the podcast. I thought we were done.
Joe was so mad. So I was like, "All right,
I
man.
enjoyed every part of it.
All right, bro."
So yeah, we're not doing the Huntsman, but
Yeah, so that's
thank you for your concern.
That's the moral of that story. Not doing the Huntsman.
All right, so we're moving on. This is at what? That's UMWAT. Says, for suggestions, how about The Invitation on VOD and in theaters? 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Extremely tense movie. Great suggestion. It is definitely on our list that will be going out to the voting Inner Sanctum Patreon
John,
members.
are you saying it's got a 98% tomato rating?
It's It's very high. It's got a ton of tomatoes.
All the tomatoes.
I'll be honest, I can't remember a recent episode where we let people pick the movie where it hasn't been hot garbage. So
Joe is 100% spot on. Yeah.
I have zero faith.
All right. Well, we'll see. Okay, so next we have Brian Lasseter at BE Lasseter. He says, regarding the hardcore Ask BGH from Hardcore Henry show, do any of you have criminal and or arrest records?
No?
I did get picked up for shoplifting at Kmart.
Oh, that's true.
Prior to being 16, though. So
which has been well documented.
The records have been sealed.
I mean, I never got arrested, but I stole a bunch of stuff from my senior government teacher's house, and then I wrapped his house in crime tape, but he never they never picked me up, so I guess not.
Wait. Was this supposed
cops
to
have your name, though.
Was this supposed to be like a senior prank or something?
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Did he get his stuff back?
No.
I got picked up.
He didn't need it.
I want to say 8 or 9 months ago, I got picked up for walking across the train tracks when the lights started flashing, like it's going to come down. And no joke, that cost me $400.
Oh,
what?
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
After the ticket and then the court fees, $380, I think the total was. Just friggin' ridiculous.
Yeah, that's silly.
Yeah. One time in high school, my friends and I were trying to find a party in the woods. And we started wandering in the woods. We didn't have a flashlight, like a bunch of idiots. It's dark out. And finally we just went, you know what? Why don't we just go somewhere else and drink? So we just left the woods. And as we were rolling out of the woods, the cops were rolling up. And I'll let you guess if they believed our story of we couldn't find the party. And so they took our names. And that was about it. That was the closest I've ever come, other than just getting tickets.
All right. At Jesse Wilson 002 says, what podcast about Disneyland/World would Joe recommend? I'm taking my 6 and 3-year-old daughters in October.
Oh, wow. So I used to listen to the Disney hipsters, but to be honest, they just end up complaining a lot.
Well, that's what they would do, right?
Yeah, it's I can't, I don't want to get too nerdy here, but I can't stand these podcasts where they talk about Disney World, but they just complain about it. Don't go then.
Yeah, Joe's here for magic and whimsy. Get your complaining shit out of here.
I would say the best one is WDW Radio Show. This guy Lou Mongello hosts it, and he knows absolutely everything about Disney World. It's pretty impressive. And he does a lot of episodes about stuff that they were gonna build, and then sort of the history of it. It's pretty interesting. So even if you're not into Disney World, it's just interesting to hear all the thought and stuff that went behind.
Do these episodes come out weekly of these shows usually?
He does them every week. So this guy's story, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but this guy used to be a lawyer in Jersey, and his podcast got so popular that now he is retired from being a lawyer, moved down to Orlando, and this is his job.
What?
Yeah, it's amazing. He goes to the restaurants and does live reviews. He goes to podcast conventions and gives talks. He gets, he does walking tours of Disney World. It's the guy's living my dream. This is his job.
Joe is mad jealous right now.
Extremely. He pretty much has a season pass and then just built a career out of it. It's pretty impressive. So yeah,
good ROI.
WDW Radio Show is the way to go.
Joe, have you ever been to the California one?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Which one do you prefer?
The first time I met Evan, we met out there. It's actually a lot of people think Disneyland is, it's obviously a lot smaller, but we love it because it's a lot more manageable. You could probably do it in a day if, you start right at the opening. But it's also it hasn't really changed a lot over the years. So there's sort of a kitsch feeling to it. And California Adventure, they built even if you don't like the movie Cars, they have a Cars land that literally looks like you're walking down the main street from that movie. It is unreal, the detail they put into it.
Did you guys ride the teacups together?
Oh, no. So we actually met. We didn't go into the park. My wife and I were out there just visiting for a couple days, and we met at the Trader Sam's. It's a tiki bar they have there, which again is just like super, super, like it feels like you're stepping back in time. Like it's awesome. But yeah, we had a blast.
Awesome.
Nice.
So there you go. And if you want tips or anything, like just joe@bloodygoodhorror.com, like I would be happy to I like get excited. My wife and I put together like giant Google Docs, like when we're getting ready to go. Like I love talking about this stuff.
There you go, Jesse. Just email Joe. Save everybody else. All right. Ian Gifford, that's at Ian Gifford, says, you guys seem to have your finger on the pulse of horror happenings. What is the deal with the release of Before I Wake? And so we actually talked about this because I saw this tweet right before we started. So Before I Wake, and we may have mentioned this like a while back, this was caught up in the Relativity Media bankruptcy. So this was a distribution company. They bought the rights to the film, and it was scheduled. Like they had it on the schedule. And then they went bankrupt. And so there's been a couple movies that this has really jammed up. One of them was The Disappointments Room, which is another sort of horror joint we've been talking about for a while. That was done by DJ Caruso. And yeah, so folks have been waiting on him. Before I Wake did just get a international release. So I think you can probably get to see it if you are international or something, but it should be coming out US at some point. If not, it might go direct to VOD, something along those lines.
That was like a legit answer. I didn't know any of that.
Well, maybe, you know what, we might have talked about it on Sophistical because Andy's pretty tapped into a lot of this stuff. He works at a movie theater, so he kind of tends to know what's going on. They Relativity had a bunch of stuff, and so it jammed up a ton of movies, unfortunately. Yeah. Next, Blue Daisy 90, Samantha Davis, says, motive anywhere? Also, why even wear a mask if you'll just take it off? ... The
motive was murder.
Murderation. He had it on the mind. Yeah. I think we sort of dug into that a little bit.
He really liked Hunger Games, and he bought that sick crossbow, but then he was like, well, what am I going to do with this? So I might as well murder ladies.
The crossbow thing was kind of weird. It kind of made him. It plays into the camp of Joe's point about him being a sort of a little more hapless. You know, it's like, dude, come on, crossbow. Like, who has a fucking crossbow anymore? You either get a bow and arrow like a badass, or you just take a gun. I don't know. Kind of went in the middle.
He couldn't get a gun license, so he had to go with the crossbow.
It's fair.
You guys don't watch Walking Dead? You're not a Daryl fan?
That's a good point. That's a good point, Joe.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're keeping it rolling here before Eric falls asleep on his microphone. Wine Movie Nerd, that's Andrew Roebuck of Bloody Good Horror fame. He asks, where does Hush fit in the Blumhouse lexicon? For me, it's easily one of their best in recent years.
Yeah, I think it's up there.
Yeah, I'd put it up.
Sure.
I like it. I will put it in the good category. I would put it below things like Creep. They did The Visit, which I also they were involved with Visit, which I also liked. It's in the top.
The Visit
half.
is great.
Yeah, it's in the top half easily. Yeah. But good. You know. All right. Franchise MPLS at Franchise MPLS asks, is Eric really 5'4"? How tall is his wife?
Yeah, I'm 5.
Was this like a topic of discussion?
My license says 5'4". No, we didn't. I don't know how that even came up. I must have said it on an old episode or something. Yeah. I don't know how tall my wife is. Like, she's shorter than me, so like 5'2" maybe. She's above 5 foot.
We are gonna have a little new baby.
Oh yeah, this baby gonna be small.
I bet that kid's gonna be like 6'4".
I mean, the tallest member of any side of my family is like 5'10". 11.
It would be
maybe.
funny if it was a girl and if your daughter was the tallest one.
She'd
in
be
the
like
family.
a center, like a.
But
center.
like by high school, we're like, I want you home by 11 o'clock. Like, yeah, right, Dad, whatever.
Just do what my dad always said. You may be bigger than
something.
me. Papa Newell always said, you may be bigger than me, but I will always fight dirtier. And he was right.
That's
Makes
creepy.
sense.
All right. So Metal Prof at Metal Prof asks, "Am I the only one who just doesn't find a scrawny guy with a knife scary anymore?"
He was pretty good with that knife, man. He just fucking jacked that dude right in the throat. Just like,
So I was actually going to say, I almost go the other direction where it's like, if there's a scrawny guy with a knife and he's been killing people, you're almost like more scared of him.
I don't know, man.
You know?
Squirrely white guys. Am I right? Pretty scary.
Dude's clearly figured something out.
Pretty scary. Donald Trump's got them all amped up. It's just like recipe for disaster.
I am killing all of these women.
By the way, John, breaking news alert. Donald Trump, projected winner of New York.
Yeah, I saw.
Really? John.
I didn't vote for him, guys. I hate to
What are you doing?
Well, you know.
I'll say Chicago is a garbage town, but we didn't let him win.
It's fair, Joe. You got us on that one.
Make no mistakes, I did not vote, but
Wait, hold on. All right, well, Ted Cruz won Georgia, didn't he? God.
I think
The
so.
Zodiac Killer. It happened.
He's Alf. He looks like Alf.
He does look like
I really want, I put it in the BGH Slack. I really want the Ted Cruz Zodiac shirt, but I'm afraid to wear it because I
lot of people voted for him.
I mean,
where you live.
I mean, the question is who gets the delegates from Melmac? That's what I want to know.
Well, I know whoever made it is donating all of the funding to Planned Parenthood, but I think, or something, I don't know. But anyway,
this honestly,
everyone else should buy it.
I've been watching a lot of sports all of a sudden lately. Like I've been watching a lot of Red Sox games,
I
and
saw you're like tweeting about soccer
I'm
games
watching
all of a sudden?
soccer, and I realized that it's like I cannot follow this election anymore. It makes me want to stab my own eyes out.
It's weird. Like it feels like it's
We
like a
are
reality show.
fucked.
Like it
America is fucked. There's no good outcome to this election. So I'm
Man,
gonna just
I
watch
love baseball
baseball.
season though. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that much. I am fired up.
You know what's cool about baseball, Joe? There's a game on like every night.
It's the best part.
You know?
I'm watching
All
the
right.
Phillies get their asses kicked by the Mets right now while
gotta-
we're recording. It's right here, John.
We got to keep this rolling. We have a lot of tweets to get through.
I'm so
at
tired.
Chris Krangler says, during this movie, I felt like an open road with greased up boats being drug across it by Steven Collective. I have
don't know what that means.
no effing idea what it was.
I mean, it's super descriptive.
I would have to literally Google like 4 parts of that tweet to figure out what he's talking about.
Yeah. If
But
John
thanks,
doesn't
Steven.
get it, I'm fucked. So
All right. At Alan Murch, our buddy Alan Murch, he says, would you rather be deaf or blind? And if John was blinded, would he have seeing eye peasants? First of all, I
Deaf.
would probably get one of the helper monkey things
Yeah.
that are awesome and can help you do all kinds of things.
But what if
Monkey
it rips
hates
your
clean.
face off? Isn't that what pet monkeys do?
No, you treat them really nice and you just take care of them.
monkeys don't give a shit, John.
I was like, I'm pretty sure the animals that have ripped the monkeys were being treated nice. They're being treated like
That
little
monkey
kids.
that ripped that lady's face off, she was like feeding it Vicodin and like dressing it up like a person and
I mean,
shit.
it was miserable. I'm just kidding.
This is a PSA actually. We do not often endorse nonprofits around here, but my wife did a little bit of work back when she was at a foundation with a thing called Helping Hands. Go
What
check
is
out Helping
happening?
Hands.
What is
sometimes.
going on right now?
Do yourself a favor.
Is it
Now,
is it helper monkeys?
Yeah, it's helper monkeys.
shit.
They're
Really?
really they're totally legit. It's cool.
Do you remember that SNL skit with the
Yeah.
cleaning monkeys?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Monkey
don't
hate
like-
clean.
yeah, that's a really good one.
Throw it out in the garbage.
Yeah,
It's just dead.
they just
Yeah.
like the trash bag. Yeah, it's a good one. Wait, so what, blind or deaf? Really quick.
Deaf. 100% deaf.
Yeah, I would be deaf
Deaf.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm going deaf too.
If you were blind and you couldn't watch Joe's movies that he's projecting from his phone to his TV, and then what's life even about at that point?
I don't know, Eric. Maybe you like get into like other stuff, you know?
No.
Other types of
Yeah, but
movies.
all those other cool things also involve having to be able to see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
I actually think that not being able to hear might be peaceful, might be relaxing.
I know. Like
It's
like sometimes I would just like on the train and stuff. Like
Yeah,
I could just
it's
can't hear
mostly
these-
things I hear that stress me out.
yeah, but what happens when
totally
the scrawny white guy comes with the knife? You don't know
Then-
what's
She
going
won.
Listen,
You just gotta be resourceful.
even with all my senses, I just die, so I'm not worried
If it
about it.
wasn't for that horse, I never would have spent that year in medical school.
Oh Lord! All right,
You
keeping
keep thinking
it
about it, and then 5 days
rolling.
later, blood shoots out your nose, and they find you on the floor.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.
No problem, buddy.
Oh wait, so sorry that we got Simon Honeydew at Simon Honeydew tweeted us twice.
Simon.
Hold on, I
Yeah,
gotta
we
send
gotta-
the
we gotta-
image to Eric.
We got to wrap this up here, Schnars. Come on.
I know, sorry, Eric.
And we haven't even
I'm
done classics yet.
I'm posting the image for you because it's worth it. It says,
Oh,
"Is
nice.
this Joe showing off his creation?"
Oh man, I saw this and
It's
I
pretty
started digging through our spare room trying to find some of my Total Golf CD-ROM paraphernalia.
For those who don't know, Joe went to school for like multimedia disc something.
I have a degree in multimedia.
like putting together shitty CD-ROMs that like came in PlayStation Magazine and stuff.
Hey, they were not shitty, all right? They were the wave of the future 20 years ago.
All right, we're rolling. So, was that someone from her past? Oh, this is at Fishhead311.
No, it was not. It did not seem to be, no.
He then follows up. Also, would it be easier to stalk a blind person or a deaf person?
Deaf, I think. Because
Can we talk about this guy's Twitter name first, though?
Yeah,
Fish311. Like, there's a
No,
lot going on there.
It's Fishhead311.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
because you could be standing right behind a deaf person and they might not know you're there, whereas a blind person can still hear you.
Oh yeah, and heightened ear senses. Heightened.
And like even if you're standing in front of a blind person who can't see you, they can still friggin' hear you.
Lest we forget the Book of Eli.
Yeah, he cut that dude's hand off.
Was he? Oh
Told-
yeah, he was
told you you
blind
weren't-
in that.
I told you weren't going to get that hand back. That's a deep cut.
All right.
Deep cut.
Fun fact, I saw Book of Eli in the theater because I was a part of the show, but it turns out I wasn't yet.
What, did we like not have you on?
Yeah.
That's
Like
amazing.
I emailed, like, all right, guys, I saw it. And Eric's like, oh, yeah, no, you're not on this. Like, oh. Yeah, I know I'm not. I just, I saw and I wanted you guys to know that.
That is the best. Sorry, Joe. You clearly over it, so.
Yeah, whatever.
We've gotten a little better about giving people a heads up whether they're actually
so
on the show or
funny.
not.
I love these things that Joe just like very clearly remembers.
Well, that'll stick out in your head.
Oh yeah, I totally knew. I
Alright.
was just joshing you.
The next one comes from the Super Horror Bros at SHB Pod.
I like that handle.
Yeah. Does a film going straight to Netflix hold any negative stigma
No.
if it ever did?
It's 2016.
Yeah, I don't think anymore.
Yeah.
I'm
If
gonna
anything,
say
I'm sometimes,
yes.
if anything, I'm sometimes more interested in those movies because I know that they can do things that a theatrical movie might not.
I mean, especially with what Netflix is putting out now, I get really excited if,
Yeah, it's a
if
good
I'm
point,
like
too.
stoked
Yeah,
about it.
You're wrong.
Here's the
Schnars.
thing.
You're wrong.
My feeling is like if something is truly like really, really good, art house film theaters will find a way to get it in.
Yeah,
it.
but that I still consider that direct to video because
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I don't
So-
live near
so-
close enough to an art house theater.
Eric, you live in a major city.
I
You
live in the
absolutely do.
suburbs of a major city.
Either way, in fact, all of us live close enough to a major. Like none of us would have a problem getting to like anything that goes to 500 theaters. I bet in any event. So it's really a question of like mass release versus
Sure.
direct to video.
Yes.
See, I still would say like there's a lot like It Follows like was like a pretty small release. Like that's
I don't know. I got that in Albany when I was there.
all right. Well, I don't know how many actual theaters, but I saw it like at an art
It
house.
is the
thing.
capital. Just a heads up.
That's right.
That's
Capital
true.
region, baby.
Capital region.
It's the region where the capital is.
Props going for Trump.
Sometimes the governor's there. Oh, what a shame.
All right. One we got a couple more here. So at NerdyJock86, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the Lights Out trailer and ask if you have seen the short film.
Ah, fuck.
Yes.
I don't know if I've seen this.
I mean, I liked it. I think that I saw the short film like because the short film came out a while ago, right? or I think it did. And then they decided to make it into like a major movie. So, I mean, I think it'll be interesting. I don't know. I haven't read a whole lot about it, but
Where did you see the short? I've like not heard of this at all.
the short was on like some site. I mean, it was like super obscure when it came out. I think I got an email about it from some website I follow.
Yeah, so it looks like this. Yeah, they basically it's coming July 22nd.
Yeah.
It's a Warner Brothers release.
I mean, I don't know.
Somehow James Wan is involved. It looks like?
James, well, I think he directed it, right?
Yeah, that's how it like. I think he decided he was going to direct it, so that's why it got a new like the new buzz is around it.
No, the original director is still attached. Like the
So
original short director.
Is he just like presenting it?
Yeah, I think it's like a presented by or like
Yeah.
I'm watching the trailer now. It looks super spooky.
Yeah. I mean,
he produced it. James Wan did. Sorry,
Okay.
just reading.
Yeah, I mean, the short film is, really creepy. So, I hope that they're getting to keep that with a large studio behind it. But I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I believe we have it. I'm just checking our yeah, we have it. It's 7:22. It's on our schedule, so we'll get to it.
Fascinating.
Lights out. All right, we got two here from B. Lassiter. I'll just read them really quick. He says, "Is stab her a euphemism for sex that the kids are using these days?"
No.
Maybe. And then
I don't think so.
he asks, "Are you going to review the World of Warcraft movie? I believe it's just called Warcraft."
No.
And I would watch it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I would watch it.
I would too, but I don't think we're gonna do it for the show.
No, absolutely not.
Maybe I can convince the Sophistical team to take it on.
I know I said this last week in the show, but it's actually true this week. Game of Thrones is coming back.
I know. I meant to tweet you or tell you
I
I was
figured it
really
out.
pissed on Sunday
Sorry.
because I'd planned out my evening.
Listen, you never just believe things I just say. Okay?
I know.
Yeah.
I was really upset.
But it is happening this week. I went back and watched the Hard Home, which was the big battle with the White Walkers from last season, and kind of realized like almost anything that happened last season that wasn't like a big action scene was just kind of terrible and like boring. So I just
all right, hater.
I'm not a hater. I love Game of Thrones. I love it so much, but just like the last season, because what I realized, especially last season, was they have all these trailers setting the season up that show you this amazing shit. But what's really going to happen is you're going to see one cool thing in the first episode, and then people are going to talk for 7 straight episodes, and then something cool will happen, like 2 or 3 episodes before the end. It's like,
is this how you guys felt when I was talking about Disney? Is that like what happened?
yes.
Just glazed over.
Oh Lord! All right, so next week we're gonna have a little survey. We'll get that out to patrons ASAP, probably tomorrow. We'll have to close it by Friday so we can get to watch whatever we are watching.
Cool. Do we have any BGH classics? Quick.
Oh,
we do. Am I still robot-y?
No, you're good now.
All right. So we got 3 from the past week, and let me know if you guys heard these on the show from last week, but I don't think you did. First from Roel, Manuel's Blair Cornwall and Mitch Gallery.
Okay, I can't hear you now, and we did read that one last week.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna turn off my video.
It's better.
You guys may have heard all these then. Only in America, someone would want to visit the ghetto.
Yes, we don't have to say that again.
All right, so we only got one then. From @franchise MPLS, it made you want to be a besweatered alcoholic. That was Mark from the 2014 Year Ender.
Yeah, that would have been about the Ethan Hawke. What was that movie there? Sinister?
yeah. I was gonna guess it was about the troll hunter, but okay.
No, Sinister, because that's his thing. He's got that dad sweater, and he's just chugging whiskey for the entire movie.
Oh, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is fun. So
It's going to do it, fellas and ladies. BloodyGoodHorror.com. info@BloodyGoodHorror.com is the email address. CC, people want to do book stuff with you. Where/how do they do that?
You can either go to our Goodreads page, which is just go to Goodreads and type in Bloody Good Horror, and we are a group there. Or just follow me on Twitter @CC_riots, and I post stuff about books all the time there. We are not on Reddit anymore, so do not go to the Reddit. I'm not there. Not there.
There's lots of other weird stuff on Reddit.
Snap.
Email me if you want weird stuff on Reddit. I can give you that.
I mean, I like weird stuff on Reddit, but I'm not posting the weird stuff up there.
That's it. Hush. We reviewed Hush. Next week.
Just a little hush.
Next week, voted on by patrons. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you then.
See you.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.